Thank you, Jean. Thank you for welcoming us and for bringing us into the gallery view. That's perfect way to start our morning or afternoon, as the case may be. You may be starting your afternoon. And Jean, you were mentioning where you are um, and where I am here in Hawaii. And I'm wondering, where are all of you? So I don't know if we have the chat open, but can we open that for a minute, Jean, and let people say hello to each other from wherever they are, so we can get a sense from the field where we are zooming in from. And I see so many familiar faces. So good to see you all. And some new faces. So if you're new to Dharma Sunday, welcome, welcome to this practice space. And today we're going to be both practicing together the practice of meditation and also some Dharma teaching and some interactive practice. Are people able to open the chat? Is that working? No, yeah, I saw people trying there. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. Now it's working. So you can go ahead and put in a greeting if you like, or where you are. Yeah, you can see North Carolina, Connecticut. Welcome, welcome from New Hampshire. See that Cape Cod. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, North Carolina. Queens. Nice. Wisconsin. Okay. And Massachusetts, Denver. Oh, yeah. Welcome, everyone, from where you are. And I'm in Hawaii this morning, where it is a cloudy and still. Where it's cloudy and still. And so good to be here with you. So this morning, we're going to start with practice. And our practice, this Dharma Sunday, I'm going to be focusing on practice and specifically on resistance, the resistance that we can have to practice. And how do we how do we cope with what seems to get in the way of getting to the cushion or getting to our sacred space, our sacred practice. And then how do we meet resistance? How do we explore resistance? And so I'm seeding that now, because I just want you to have that seed with you, because I'll be asking you a little bit about that after we've practiced together. Okay. Just seeding that. But while we're practicing, just being in the practice, of course, that's the best we can do. And so I'd like to invite you to get comfortable in your space, on your cushion, or in your practice space. And I recommend turning a little away from the screen, but not completely disconnecting either. At least you need to be able to hear. I'll be offering some guidance. I'm taking out my earbuds so we can hear the gong when the gong rings. So turning, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's good to spotlight. A little bit away from our screen, but the beauty of being together as we are like this on Zoom in practice is that we can maintain that sense of connection to a field of practitioners. It's such a beautiful thing. It's maybe for me one of the most rich things about being together like this on Zoom is that we can really enter into our embodied practice but not feel alone in our house, right? We are not alone here in our practice. So together in it, and you can relax into that field, right? And so we begin with refuge, and just remembering that right now. So maybe Jean can pull up our refuge prayer, and we can chant that together. You can do refuge also in a very informal way, just coming home to what it is that supports your practice, right? Sanje chudan sochi chonam la jang chu bardu dani chab suchi da gi jin so ji pe so nam jin ro lam pen she san she du par ro san she chu dan so ji cho nam lam jang chu par du dani chab su chi da gi jin so ji me so nam ji ro lam pen she san she du po. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until awakened. By the power of generosity and the other perfections, may we realize Buddhahood for the benefit of all. So calling into the field, into your heart mind, your circle of support, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, friendship, the ones who walk the path with you, the ones who have inspired you, uplifted you, invited you into a space of practice over the years, and just connecting in that way to your own lineage of support. And noticing when you invite refuge, how the body-mind relaxes. We have that sense that we are not alone. We have a field of care. They're accessible to us. We'll join our hands in the mudra of one-pointed vajra. This is a bodhicitta mudra, which is a hand gesture. And so just bringing, you can do the index finger or the middle finger, doesn't matter, but just clasping the hands, and one finger is up, and that's representing the point of the vajra that is wisdom and love, inseparable. And we can use this mudra as a way to remember to awaken bodhicitta in the heart. Awaken bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the love and wisdom, the reason we practice for the benefit of all. And that just feeling into the softening of the heart and the opening of the heart before practice. Waking up the loving heart, tender heart. We can release that mudra and coming into our posture for practice, and just sitting in a way that is easeful for you and grounded. Start with 3 cleansing breaths with a deep inhale, the belly, the lungs, and a slow, full exhale from the belly. 3 cleansing breaths, so at your own pace. The deep, full inhale, and long, slow, deep exhale. Coming back to the gentle breath, the breath breathing you. And coming down from the head space into your feeling body. Letting your attention move all the way down to where your body meets the earth, where this body is already communing with its sacred home. This body knows it belongs here with every cell. The mind sometimes wonders if it belongs, but the body knows. Natural body. This body like a mountain. This body mountain is still and grounded and majestic, but also dynamic. The feeling of the air on your skin, the cool, fresh Inhale, warm, soft exhale. The space between. This body is also flow. Breath, breathing you. Natural breath. This body, mountain, grounded, earthbound. Alive with the flow of feeling. With the in breath and the out breath, the flow of breath. And this body rising in the midst of the sky. Surrounded and held in openness, spaciousness, a home for this sky-like awareness. Natural mind, with ears open, sense fields open, gaze open, heart open, mind open. Heart, mind, like the sky. So we're going to take a short break now for 10 minutes and we'll be back together at 10 till. Okay, 10-minute break just to stretch, get a cup of tea. All right, welcome back. It's going to connect to you visually here for a moment. Oh, good. So nice to see you. So I want to begin by opening the chat for a minute and just asking you this question. What gets in the way between you and getting to your cushion? And I want to see if you can put this into a word or two or three, not like a long essay, but just like a word or two or three. What gets in the way between you and getting to the cushion? I know this is something that we all struggle with and work with. And so I want to hear from you what gets in the way between you and getting to your cushion. So if you could, if you're willing to, put a little something in the chat, even if it's just a word or a phrase, and we'll see what we all come up with, what gets between us and getting onto that cushion, what gets between us and our practice. And I think that chat is open. So pain, illness, fatigue, yes. Procrastination, to-do list, procrastination, long or intense work, momentum of daily life, stress, negative projection, work, procrastination, chatty mind, the busyness of others, endless distractions, dis-ease, distractions, air, literally, ooh, and fog, smog, I'm guessing, from Kathmandu, forgetfulness, thinking I have something really more important to do. Yeah, nothing, worries, appointments, hard work, distractions, form relatives, oh, overthinking, disease, dis-ease. I'm just taking a few notes. Fear of having bad meditation. Other things I want to do more than that moment. The to-do list. Okay. Figuratively. Okay, got that. Grasping at something else, like I'm hungry. Okay. Yeah. So look at how many times procrastination came in there. That's interesting. And distraction. And I could put that under procrastination is one category and distraction another. And also just not feeling well, dis-ease, and was one other one that I wanted to pull out here. Yeah, dis-ease. Yeah, not feeling great in one way or another, right? Okay, so I want to talk about what is it that we can do about avoidance and how this difficulty that we have getting to the practice. And we see this issue of procrastination, that we're putting it off. Also that when when we're not feeling up to it, up to our best self, that we can't somehow land on the cushion. That unless we're feeling ready to meditate, that we can't somehow practice, we can't somehow meditate. Um, and that there's things in our field that are grasping for our attention, right? That's the distraction factor that we have at home, right? Family members, noises, sounds, and our own to-do list, right? The to-do list came in there, that our mind is chatting and we are listening, right? We're listening and we're following that chatter. Yeah, all these ways that we avoid practice. So I want to say first that everybody struggles with distraction, because what we're essentially asking ourselves when we get to the cushion, what we are asking of ourselves is to slow down and to come present. That's essentially what we're asking of ourselves, to slow down and to become present. And there is a part of us, in fact, a very strong part of us that is habituated to not doing that. We are habituated to speed. There's a certain kind of energy that our, and our culture and our technologies encourage, to be leaning into the next moment and leaning into what's next, right? Leaning into what we need to do, leaning into what we need to become, right? Just a little bit ahead of ourselves. So what do we do about that speedy energy, you know? Um, so I want to say that yesterday, I'm just going to share a story about what happened with me yesterday. So you can see it's not just the people who've been meditating for a shorter time that have trouble with this, right? It's those of us that have been on the path for a long time. Yesterday, I had every intention of sitting and practicing, and by the end of the day, I suddenly realized I hadn't done it. Like, it wasn't even a conscious choice not to meditate on that day. It was that one thing came in front of another. And then pretty soon I was at, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Have you had this experience? And suddenly I was like, oh, wait, I didn't practice. How did that happen? Right. So I want to talk about a few things, a few techniques, a few um, tips that have really worked for me. So what happened for me yesterday is that I ended up just at that moment, late at night, right, fairly late at night, meditating as I fell asleep. So I had plans in the evening, so I couldn't practice then either. I had to prep and go out and come back. It was all great, but then closing my eyes to go to sleep, being like, okay, now's my chance, right? 5 minutes there before going. But we all struggle with this, so I just want to say that we all struggle with this. And so when it comes to getting to the cushion, I want to share some things that have worked for me. And the first one is consistency. Consistency. And I know that we have busy lives, right? We all have really busy lives. Sometimes, when we think about getting to the cushion and practicing, we think about that as like as a chore, as something that we have to do. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with why we have trouble getting to the cushion. And that one needs to be dealt with really, really carefully and mindfully, because that's a framing issue. That's a framing issue. We frame practice as a task, like brushing our teeth. And in one way it is. And then we brush our teeth consistently, right? We're good with the oral hygiene, but we're not so good with the soul hygiene, right? We're good with the oral hygiene, but not so good with our soul hygiene. Our soul hygiene is the practice of meditation, our way of taking care of our inner life, right? It's the taking care, it's the hygiene for the inner life. And being consistent, like with brushing our teeth, brushing them every morning or brushing them every night is a factor. But once we become consistent, there's also this sense of uh, creating a framing around it as something that we need to do, that we must do. So there's a kind of a balance between consistency, which is really helpful. When you get into a habit, when you do something the same time every day, then when that same time rolls around, you tend to remember because it is something you're doing every day, like with brushing your teeth, right? You're in a routine with brushing your teeth. And so the same thing is applicable to meditation. Now, in one way, we could do it any time of day. Like yesterday, I usually get up and that's what I do first thing. First thing, I make tea and then I sit. That's how I do it. That's how I get consistent. Because if I do it at the beginning of the day won't get away from me. But once in a while, and this has been true in my life right now, I've started a routine where I also do something else early in the morning. And what that is canoeing on the ocean, and it's a priority for me. So how do I do both the meditation and my practice of the body? And that's been, so I'm a little bit in a turbulent place. Where exactly do I fit it? Do I fit it before? Do I fit it after? Now I'm fitting it after. But sometimes, like yesterday, a series of things come up, meetings, phone calls, whatever it is that I'm working with, doing work, and then the day gets away from me. So, but finding your way to be consistent with when you show up, the when, and I think the when in certain ways is more important than the what. So you might say, well, I'm working on my shamatha practice, or I'm working on my marga meditation, or I'm working on my um, visualization practice, my ngundro practice, and um, and that's the what, right? And then I have to do this, or I have to do that, or I'm working on this, or I'm working on that. Not as important as simply showing up at this time consistently, even if you don't need to even know exactly what's going to happen yet. You don't know which practice you're going to work on yet, but you showed up, right? So there's something about the consistency, and then balancing that with a healthy framing. And the healthy framing, I think our unhealthy framing is has to do with a should, right? So first, consistency. Second, a healthy framing. So stepping back from the should, stepping back from the should and moving into the, okay, how am I going to frame this that in a way that I want to be there for it, right? That's made a life-changing difference in my practice. And where the should goes away and the healthy framing comes in is you need to think about what will get you there. And what gets me there is I'm not going to meditate. I'm not going to meditate. I'm going to sit here, but I'm not going to meditate. Because when I say I'm going to meditate, there comes the resistance. So I'm going to sit and not meditate. That's my framing. I'm going to sit and I'm going to be. I'm just going to be. I'm going to let go of all the agenda. That's my framing that works for me. But I don't know that it works for everyone. It works for me because what I'm really resisting is doing something. And when I realize that I'm not going to practice to do something, I'm going to practice to be something. And my to-be list excites me. My to-do list is a drag, but my to-be list is exciting. To be spacious, to be in the present moment, to be with myself as I am. Right, that to be list is exciting. So what is your to be list? And I would recommend, yeah, if you, I did say in the chat, but whether or not you saw it, if you happen to come with a piece of paper and a pencil, to start a to be list. You could do that right now. To be, what do I want to be? Not what do I want to do, but what do I want to be? I want to be relaxed. I want to be spacious. I want to be loving. And it's the to be list framing that can get me to the cushion. It gets me excited about getting to the cushion. So first, consistency. Second, reframe your practice. Reframe your practice as a way of being. Reframe your practice as a non-doing, and reframe your practice as a letting go. And you might say, but wait, I have a practice that has a lot of doing in it. I'm doing all this chanting, and I'm doing all this these prostrations, or it depends, right? There are practices that are more active. I'm doing this visualization. I have to be doing this visualization. Well, maybe you do today, and maybe you don't. Don't make it a must, right? Get to the cushion and be present, and then see if that's what's going to happen or not. And if it's not, don't shame yourself for that. You are practicing if you're getting there, if you're just being, right? If you're just settling into this moment, you're practicing, you're doing it. And then the rest is icing on the cake. And then a third suggestion. Practice is not just about what you do on the cushion. Practice is also about what you do before you get on the cushion. So, a ritual that you do before you get to the cushion is really helpful, important. What is that ritual? And finding your own ritual, and because there are lots of shoulds and musts, and maybe try anyway, but find your ritual. And it might involve relating to an altar or a shrine that you tend. I love the tending of the shrine, the care for the shrine, because the care for the shrine is a symbol, of course, for the care for our own inner life and inner growth. And there's something about the tending, the nurturing of shrine. It might be lighting a candle. For me, it's lighting a candle. There's a sort of minimal for me that I like. I used to do maximal tending of the shrine when I was younger and monastic. There was water bowls, and there was chanting, and there was making offerings, and there was prostrations, and it was a lot of ritual. But now my ritual's pared down to lighting a candle and creating scent, because the senses love certain smells. And so tend to the shrine and remember the senses. So I do incense or smudging. I'll smudge the entire house before I sit. So some way to connect with scent, with sight. Candles delight my eyes, and they get me in the mood for practice. So I light a candle or candles, and then I offer scent, and then that's my ritual. Very simple ritual. And then I'll do prostrations or bows sometimes to the shrine. So I'll bow to the shrine, or I'll do full sun salutations to the shrine, 3 of those or something of that nature. So what is your ritual that gets you in your body, that gets your senses delighted? How do you stimulate the environment before you practice? What is that going to look like, right? Or chanting. Chanting is wonderful, right? Singing, chanting. Maybe there's, and another ritual that I've been adding in lately is reading a passage from a book that's really inspiring me to practice these days. So what I'm reading I'm reading it aloud, not just reading it quietly, reading it aloud. And what am I reading aloud? These days, it's Flight of the Garuda by Shabkar. I'm reading Flight of the Garuda. And I read a song or a poem every day before I sit aloud. And then I sit and reflect on that. And then that takes me into the practice. So you might have a ritual that involves some reading every day from the same book and then slowly making your way through, or a book of poetry. Um, yeah. So ritual, so consistency, reframe your practice, create ritual. That's 3. And I'm including stimulate your senses below create ritual. And then 4, my 4th tip is remember the benefits of your practice. Dwell on those benefits. So, what that really means is you need to know why you're practicing, or you're not going to get to the cushion. If you don't know why, you need to really, really work on that. And when I say the why, it may not be something that's written somewhere for you to read. It's for you to think about. And, why do I get to the cushion? Because it has changed my life. And so when I think about that, how it's changed my life, really think about the benefits. So for myself, it's changed my relationship to thought. It's changed my relationship to feeling, like emotion. It has changed my relationship to other people. It has given me a frame of meaning that I carry with me every day. Right. So I start to think about deeply, what is it? And journal about what are the benefits of my practice. So you can do that too. You can journal. You can start to journal. And if you have a piece of paper now and ideas are coming to you, I see you guys writing, you can, write that down. What is it that really gets me, is changing in me because I'm doing this? So 4, remember the benefits of practice, and do that, once a day, even if you remember one benefit a day. And then it's easier and easier to get to the cushion, because you realize what you're losing when you don't. What you're losing is the cultivation of this way of being that is so powerful for you. And like, why would you miss that? That's priority. That's huge priority, way up there on the list of life, right? So because we often, it falls down our priority list. Oh, but I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. Really, do we? Oh, maybe the biggest priority, or a high priority, right? um Remember the benefits. And then the 5th that I'm going to say, and there's more things I could say about this, but I'm going to say this 5th one is to get the heart involved. And we can really get in our head about practice. So really get the heart involved. And one of the easiest ways to get the heart involved initially when we sit on the cushion is to just take a look at who's showing up today on the cushion. Who, how are you showing up today? And maybe you're showing up anxious, agitated, a little depressed. Maybe you're showing up really, really struggling with the state of the world, how things are right now. You're showing up in pain, right? People said pain and dis-ease. That's your doorway. That's your doorway to the heart. You show up in pain. Your practice today is to step back and make space and love your pain. Love yourself as you are showing up. Breathe care around the self. Show up for yourself as a loving bodhisattva. If you can't show up for anything else, try showing up for yourself as you are. Your heart will get involved in that. Breathe some space into your heart and open to creating loving presence for yourself. And that becomes your practice. And if nothing else happens, you have succeeded in your practice right there. You showed up for yourself. You opened your heart to this shaky, depressed, or anxious, or burdened, full of grief. And if it means you curl up into a fetal position and you close your eyes and you just stay there for the whole meditation session, you have succeeded. That's beautiful. So that's one way. That's a really great way to get the heart involved. And you can get the heart involved by inviting in a field of loving support, like we did this morning, inviting our sangha to be here with us. We're already here with us. It's so easy to do, connecting. But if we're alone on our cushion, or in the house, we can bring in the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, and our imagination. We can bring in our sangha. We can bring in a good friend, bring in a loving relative, bring in the energy of our dog or cat, whoever's our support system. Get our heart juiced up in the beginning. So those are some suggestions, some tips for, thank you for putting those in, Jean. Consistency, reframing your practice, creating ritual, including stimulating the senses, remembering the benefits of your practice, and getting the heart involved early on in your practice when you sit on the cushion. And now I want to open it up for the next 15 minutes or so to just hear from you. And when you raise your hand, you could be just here to ask a question about some of this, or it might be a question, or it might be that you have something to share that works for you. And I'd love to hear the things that are working for us to get us to the cushion. What works for you? And I can think of other things already. I'm like, oh yeah, the natural world, getting that, and even being near a window. But let's bring those in. Let's bring in all the wisdoms here too. So feel free to raise your hand. Use the raise hand function.
Lama Willa, it looks like Charlie's raising his hand.
Oh, I see Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
And everyone is able to unmute, but please wait until we offer that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my hand wasn't able to raise. Okay, so I didn't expect this to be the topic, but well, why should we expect anything? So I just want to say, so recently I've been reading the Ninth Karmapa's Ocean of Definitive Meaning, and I got about halfway through there, and then I realized that actually what he was really doing was sending out a paragraph to meditate on one after another. And basically, I was reading a paragraph and putting the book down and thinking about that for a while. And then maybe I wouldn't read that paragraph again until I woke up. And recently, Raywin, in our meditation evening, was suggesting the wakeful body. And she's so happy to be teaching that. And Ben Herman sent me this. And I find reading little sections of this are wonderful meditations to meditate on. So I would suggest those things. But I actually came to the question about practice, and the question is, and it's probably a little complicated for you to answer, maybe. I don't know, but why is there so much controversy about mixing practices when they could all be sort of work together in a wonderful way? You know, all the various different Buddhisms.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know that there's that much controversy, Charlie. I
Oh,
appreciate
I've gotten
there.
a lot lately. So
Well, I think different people have different opinions on that.
okay.
For sure. Yeah, I think different people may have different opinions on that. Um, some yeah, some teachers, some practitioners find it confusing or difficult to integrate practices from or ways of practicing from different traditions into a single session, or that might not be their cup of tea, which is fine. But for some people it works well. So I would say trust your instinct on your practice, and figure out what works for you. The there are there's one essence. There's one essence and many forms. So if you can start asking about what is the essence, what is the deepest meaning of what it is that I'm encountering or practicing, you can find that in other practices too, and other paths as well. And so I don't know. I think it depends on the person, and yeah, yeah. I'm pretty eclectic, and I'm pretty supportive. I'm supportive of all the different forms of practice that are out there. I mean, not, I don't want to say something too broad, but I should just say that there are many, many wisdoms out there in all the traditions, and that there are ways of weaving them together. I think it's about getting down to the essence and what you're trying to do. And when you know what you're trying to do, there are many different doorways to do that, not just one. Ah,
Thank you.
that's just a general answer from,
Wonderful answer,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Jeannie.
Lama Prasad.
So, when you said reframing, Lama Willa, and then you spoke about this a lot after you said reframing. Um, but what came up for me was like, when I sit down, I'm going to love myself. And if I don't sit down, I'm missing that opportunity. So I think that saying, oh, I'm going to love myself and sit my butt down on the cushion or stand up, and that's it. That's what I have to say.
Mm, mm, mm.
I'm going to love
Yeah, yeah,
like you're
right.
saying, be with yourself. It's a
Mhm.
loving thing. But I'm just saying, for me, meditation, like, as you know, in the Tibetan, it means to get to know your mind, to become familiar with your mind. And, and everything, I'm convinced at this point, everything that I do, everything everybody does, everything we do because we think it's going to make us happy. There's nothing that anybody does that they do because they don't want to be happy. And I'm going to I'm just going to own it. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to be with myself. Like if, like I still have we'll call it an infatuation or desire to be with a lover. And I really want to be, I want to, like when you're in love, you really want to be with your lover. Well, I want to love myself, and I'm just going to sit here and love myself. No matter what happens, that's it.
That sounds like a framing that's working for you,
Yeah.
Prasad. So yeah, right? You try to show up for yourself just as you are. Yeah. Yeah. And 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 the other piece of that, part of that is realizing that as you are, so are others. That connection to the heart of compassion is part of it. Yeah. So the more we can start to love what's showing up here, we realize what's showing up here is also showing up in others, and it opens the door for that, right? Be able to extend. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Prasad. Mhm.
Karen?
Thank you, Lama Willa, for this subject. And I think I just want to share my practice because really everything you listed were things that have helped me recently. Like as you're going through, I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, and I struggled with practicing in the morning, but also had the issue you brought up that if I left it for later in the day, all the momentum of the day, all the things rolling into each other will land at the end of the day. So I really, the first thing was reframing for myself all the reasons I told myself I couldn't practice first thing in the morning and working through that. And then really realizing and hearing this from a few different directions from few different teachers, like the making it the priority is my choice. Like I need to, like that's my choice to do. If this is practice is my priority, um, I need to take that on myself and love myself enough to do that and realizing the benefits of it. And then creating the consistency for me, what was really helpful was to also create some accountability for myself in the beginning. And I used Insight Timer just for my bell, but that clicked on for me, telling me, oh, then you've done this 5 days in a row. Oh, that's reinforcing that I can do this. So that was helpful too. And then I got to the point when it was a habit, um, that I didn't need that anymore. Like it because it was how I am in the morning. So, and I feel like I'm letting you all into my bedroom a little bit, but so be it. I mean, what I do when I wake up in the morning is, before I even step out of bed, I sit on the edge of the bed and I find movement helps bring me into practice and into my body first. So I sit on the edge of the bed thinking of the four thoughts and just do rotating exercises, through the body. And then next thing, when I stand up, it's taking refuge. Like nothing else happens before I stand up and take refuge again with some movement and chanting a prayer. Um, and then walking to the cushion. And I think the big reframing for me was having no expectation, like just I am sitting down and what happens, happens. And this is my morning. This is the way it is. So that's what's been helping me. Thank you.
Mm, mm. Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with us and bringing us into your room. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Rich?
Okay, am I live here?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much, Lama Willa, and this has really made me feel very connected with you and with a lot of other people that have spoken. And when you said get the heart involved, I thought of I put together a little compilation of a few things that Trungpa had said in Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism regarding meditation. And as Lama Prasad was speaking, I thought even more appropriate. So I was just want to read a couple lines. Starts, we must develop some compassion for ourselves. Meditation is the act of trusting in yourself. It is the continual act of making friends with yourself. Trust and compassion for oneself bring inspiration to the dance of life. To be completely open and have absolute trust in yourself is the meaning of love and compassion. And that's just been something I feel really fortunate. Like I love to sit and I love to meditate. It's not a challenge for me, but sometimes I don't know. I was really resonating with what Lama Prasad was saying, so I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much for the teaching today.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, and it is a powerful practice to love and to trust yourself. And we also need others to mirror for us, because it's possible to so it's possible that we're really coming from the place of a deep caring awareness, loving awareness. It's also possible we can be coming from a place of ego, and so there's a like just a cautionary statement to be made there, that we want to really work on loving and trusting ourselves, and also on being open to the input of others about whether we're trusting just a part of ourselves that is like, so there that's an interesting dance, isn't it? That we could be trusting ourselves, but also trusting the there's a we all have an ego shadow, and so the community and friends can also help us figure out where we're loving ourselves into freedom, and where we're just loving a part of ourselves that wants to be in control, right? So that's also just an interesting dance. I just mention it here because I'm so behind the love and trust of ourselves, in all of our wild and gnarly parts, but also noticing that we all need each other to move into the space of a selfless awareness, and it takes time for all of that to develop into. Yeah. I Okay. Thank you so much. That was great, Rich. I appreciate that share so much.
Thank you, Lama Willa.
Yeah.
Kathy?
Hi. Um, when you first mentioned you're going to be talking about resistance to practice, I was thinking, all right, well, I don't know how juicy that feels. And I just so appreciated what you had to say. And it just reminded me that there are teachings everywhere. And so one of the things that I thought about, I had the good fortune to listen to your talk, Lama Willa, the other night, about in the Rewilding the Soul class. If it was beautiful, Lama Willa was talking about an encounter with an octopus that same day. If I recalled it correctly, at first it was these beautiful tentacles and gorgeous colors, and then it morphed into something that looked like a coral. And then it had this incredible gaze that you and the octopus shared. And what that brought up and that we talked about in our group was adaptability. So that's been with me, adaptability. And so when I think about my practice, I do have the good fortune that I feel like it's consistent enough. And yet I realize I loved your suggestions about how to, come to the cushion, and make it deeper. But I'm also aware of the exquisite subtlety of the energy of, knowing that I want, that there is meditation that I do in the morning, and to not have it be a hammer, but have it be a flow where that how I get to it, there's just a subtle movement towards it, and I do feel like, there is a consistency that brings me to the movement. And I do, there is a this is what I'm going to do now. But I feel like your suggestions about what to bring to it brings this beautiful, a much richer presence than just, okay, I'm going to do this and I will see which practice I do. I don't need to know beforehand. Um, but that was very enriching to bring again those portals to it. And the last thing is, just how important it is to be in sangha and be with teachers and just hear how other people and what we're all doing to just enhance our individual practice, but just the practice for ourselves and for the world. So thank you, Lama Willa, and thank you, everybody else.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah. Yeah. Community is so helpful for maintaining our relationship to practice and to and also our practice changes how we are in community, of course. It's all it is part of this flow, and it's extraordinary. I now know, without a doubt, that sangha is the Buddha for this time. Sangha is where the wisdom is going to come from in this time. Thich Nhat Hanh famously said that Sangha is the new Buddha, which I really appreciate, because I think we're from a very individualistic culture, and we can think that practice is about our own awakening, but really it's not. It's about a collective awakening. And right now, more than ever, we need to be thinking about ourselves as a collective, because the challenges that we're facing as a species, facing as a community of humans. And the more we make it about an individualized struggle against other humans or against other points of view, the further apart we drive ourselves. So it's such an interesting time. But Sangha is like a mirror of what's possible, that we could be in awakened community together. It's beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Lama
And
Willa. Carolyn?
Hi. Thank you so much for expanding on this. Like, so helpful. And I appreciate doing this. And I talked to Lama Will about resistance earlier this week, and it just helps so much to talk about it within Sangha. Because at least I personally feel kind of embarrassed bringing up questions like that about I'm having a struggle getting on the mat. So just super grateful. Um, I was trying to think of really what my question is. First, an appreciation for the pointer about getting the heart into the practice early. During today's meditation, that happened to me towards the end of practice, and I was like, "Oh yes, this is it," like. Um, and so I'm excited about just looking at it that way. Somehow phrasing it in those words changes all these practices I've been doing for a while, from a doing into a being. And then that's the second thing, is I really appreciate the reframing, because I'm realizing how many areas of resistance, areas in my life where I have resistance, and it's all because it's framed as a should or a have to or a doing. And And I never did make my to-be list. You recommended that like on some talk last year or year before. And I'm curious if you would share like a few, like, is your to-be list really short or like, because I could see myself going, turning my to-be list into a to-do, like, um, whereas I feel like it will be more powerful for me if it's just honestly a few words. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even one phrase. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, on uh my top to be list is to not believe I'm separate.
Uh, okay.
That's top of my to be list. But it those how we phrase it changes, I think, also from year to year, from decade to decade. Right now, that's top of my to be list, to not believe in my separateness. And um and just even saying that to myself helps sometimes. Oh yeah, because I believe most of the time I
Yeah.
believe in my separateness, right? It's an innate kind of really deep tendency to believe that the world is out there and we're in here. And so even just to remember that I know I'm not. I mean, I know in some kind of some way, some part of me knows I'm not. Even if it's just the idea of it. And so, oh, like, yeah, oh, right, you know, kind of reframes whatever's happening in the present moment. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
yeah.
Lama Willa. Lucy?
Oh, Lucy, you're muted.
At first, I wasn't sure if this topic was going to be useful to me because I have a background in dance and yoga, so I'm fairly disciplined about getting on the mat. So my resistance is more around what happens once I start sitting. And I think one of the things I use to get myself there is thinking of the benefits. But sometimes I don't receive the benefits and I come up against a few familiar obstacles that I get very discouraged about. Um, and one is on a body level that I encounter this intense kind of hardness in my nervous system. Like I ask my body to soften and it will soften a little bit, but there's still this bracing and hardness, like a freeze response in the nervous system that's chronic. Bracing against cold, against life, against so many things. And it kind of freaks me out how persistent and prevalent it is. And I can spin out on that. So then I bring my attention out into the environment for a while and see. So basically, my task is just settling. That's about the best I can do. Like, forget so much else,
Mm.
is just regulating my nervous system and not freaking out. And part of that bracing in the system is that the breath, it doesn't move freely. So I don't want, if I try to watch the breath, I also get really triggered and go into something's wrong. Then I go off into something's wrong. What's the matter with me? I've been meditating all these years. Why is this happening? Is
Mhm.
it the histamine? Is it the this I ate? Is it something I ate? You know,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
the whole spin cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
very painful. And
Mm-hmm.
it causes
Mm-hmm.
me to feel separate. And one of the reasons I spoke today, part of me is like, nobody understands this. Nobody's going to have any help. It's very weird. You're weird. It's very esoteric. But I thought maybe just speaking out loud to you would help soften the shame I feel about it, being deficient meditator.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lucy,
yeah.
that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, for your vulnerability and sharing it. And I just want to name how it's not that uncommon to have a weird relationship with the breath when you start focusing on the breath. it's like we almost get overly intense about it, and it can be like that it changes the breath, and the breath gets even shorter and more, we get tied up. I just really thank you for bringing that to the fore,
Mm,
and just naming that there's not something wrong with you. And that's very
thank you.
and also that the tightness that you feel, the freeze response, and kind of getting all is so fine and prevalent. It's prevalent. I get that too. I think the whole practice of meditation is about unwinding that, right? Letting it go.
Right.
It's what it's about. And yet the more we're, focused on that's what it's about. I'm not doing it, right? And then the inner critic so just thank you so much for naming it and for bringing it. Yeah, and just to say that maybe just to you that also the breath isn't the be all end all of meditation practice, that
Yeah.
you can find your place of rest. And for some people, when the breath isn't the place, sometimes it's the going all the way down to the base of the body and feeling the earth down there.
Yeah. That's what I do is I feel my
Nice.
seed, and
Mm.
that's my anchor. And
Nice.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's these different ways we can find in. The doorway isn't always the breath, it's other things too. Yeah,
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
But
And
how do
and
you hold
yeah.
yourself when you feel
Mm.
that kind of intense hardening? I guess that's my edge there, where it's hard to summon the self-care and self-love. I mean, I do the things,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and I know that moving my body is one of the most helpful things for um, softening, getting things flowing a little bit more.
Yeah. 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 For me, the doorway is this befriending practice, befriending your armor, like befriend your hardness and your rigidity and in the nervous system. Like, and befriending it means really like saying, oh yeah, hey, here it is. Welcome. Let's make space for you.
Right.
You rigid thing part. Let's breathe some big space
Yeah,
around you
that's
and
good.
welcome you.
And
Because
know
the more
that,
we struggle with it, the more, oh, forget it.
yeah,
We want to love it up. Yeah.
yeah, and
Loving it up.
maybe remind myself this is a protector of some sort, a
Mm-hmm.
protective part
Yeah.
that's
Right.
here for some good reason, but
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
don't think I
Yeah.
need. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it was there probably early in our lives too, this part that wants to armor up and protect us and keep us safe, and it doesn't know it can relax. So part of it is updating it. It's okay now. You can, updating that part that you are safe now, and you are held now. And so you can soften. It's okay to soften. It's okay. If you want to, you don't have to, but you could, and I'll hold space for you, and
mm,
right, and befriending it, right? It's beautiful. Yeah, and it is there for a reason, and that helps us love it more for its
right,
care. It's trying to take care of you, right?
right.
uh,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Thank you, Lucy. Uh, so I'm gonna have to move on from here, so we're gonna dedicate together the merit and of our practice. And just, when we talked about getting the heart involved, dedication is about that. It's about getting our heart involved at the end of our practice or end of our time together, and imagining that our this work that we've done together here today is like a stone that we've dropped into a pond, and the ripples go out and out and out and out from that. We can't even see how they go out yet, but they will go out. And to just willing those ripples to move into the benefit of others. May our practice together and our time together be of benefit to the world in this time of strife and war and struggle, in this time of climate change and things changing in our natural world. May all be healed and balanced. May the hearts of others open to care and love one another. May we all know that we are not separate. Thank you.